Goa is a small state on the western coast of India. Though the smallest Indian state, Goa has played an influential role in Indian history. Goa was one of the major trade centers in India, thus it had always been attracting the influential dynasties, seafarers, merchants, traders, monks and missionaries since its earliest known history. Throughout its history, Goa has undergone continual transformation, leaving an indelible impression on various aspects of its cultural and socio-economic development. Mythological origins. The first literary reference to Goa is in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata as Gomanta, which translates as the region of cows. Despite a lack of archaeological and historical evidence, Hindu scriptures mention Parashurama as its creator. He is said to have settled 10 sages in this land and performed fire sacrifices. Another legend has that after performing the penance, the 7 sages named the Saptarshis were blessed by Lord Shiva. Thereafter the sages were known as the Saptakoteshwar. Further, Lord Shiva is believed to have taken up temporary residence after a dispute with his consort Parvati. Yet another legend states Lord Krishna defeated Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, on Gamanchul mountain in Goa. In Sutta Samhita Govapuri, Goa is associated with spiritually cleansing touch. The very sight of Govapuri destroys any sin committed in former existence, just as sunrise dispels darkness. Certainly there is no other kshetra equal to Govapuri. A similar hymn praising Govapuri city is found in Sahyadri Kanda of Skanda Purana, which says the extent of Govapuri was about 7 yojanas. According to the Parashurama legend, Parashurama, the 6th reincarnation of Vishnu, faced with an order of banishment from the lands that he had once conquered, sets 7 arrows fly from the Sahidras to push back the sea and create a stretch of land which he could claim for himself. The sea god is believed to have exceeded his wish and created a region Shurparaka, which translates literally to winnowing fan. This region is also known as Parashurama Kshetra. The legend further tells us that having created Goa, Parashurama brought Brahmins from the north and settled them in this land. Ed. Dr. Jasandikana Marathi version ed. By Gajanan Shastri Gaitan. The Parashurama legend thus serves as a symbol of the Sanskritization that Goan culture experienced with the advent of Brahmanical religion to the region, and establishment of Brahmanical hegemony. The Parashurama legend personifies the geological process of elevation of submerged land along the west coast, which must have taken place around 12,000 BC. There is evidence to support this theory as indicated by presence of marine fossils, buried seashells and other features of reclaimed topography in the coastal belt. The evidence provided by the Conchitsela village, fossilized marine conchas discovered in 1863, petrified roots. Fossilized branches have been found later in many villages on the foothills of the Sahyadri dating back more than 10,000 BC. Thus the geologists concluded that Goa has risen up from seabed as a result of violent tectonic movements. At the decline of the intensity of pluviation in the last Pleistocenic age around 10,000 BC, the bottom of Deccan Plateau was lifted up and out of sea waters by the tectonic movements, formed the west coast of India, Goa being a part thereof. Prehistoric period. Paleolithic and Mesolithic era. Until 1993, the existence of humans in Goa during the Paleolithic and Mesolithic period was highly debated. The discovery of rock art engravings on lateritic platforms and granite boulders from Usgalamal on the banks of west-flowing river Kushavati River has shed light on the prehistory of Goa. The rock shelter at Uzgalamul has enough space for 25 to 30 people. The perennial stream in the vicinity, which might have served Stone Age man for centuries as a source of water. An anthropomorphic figure of Mother Goddess and ectoforms resembling tree-like motifs have been found. This site was discovered by Dr. P. Shirdka. Exploration of several Mesolithic sites of the Mandovi-Zuari Basin at other sites such as Kerithane, Anjuna, Moksum, Kazur in Quepam, Verdi, has led to the discovery of several scrapers, points, bores, cones, etc. A hand axe has also been found at Uzgalamul. Further unifacial choppers were recovered on a flat-based pebble of quartzite from a pebble conglomerate at Shagaon on the Dusagar River. Shirdaka made a detailed study of the rock engravings and dated them to Upper Paleolithic and Mesolithic phases, or to 20,000–30,000 BC. These discoveries have demonstrated that the region had been supporting a population of hunter-gatherers well before the advent of agriculture. Evidence of Paleolithic cave existence can be seen at Dabalim, Adkon, Shagaon, Fatorpa, Ali, Morlinguinum, Dua, Sangam, Pilern, Aquam Margaon, etc. Difficulty in carbon dating the laterite rock compounds has posed a problem in determining the exact time period. Kushavarti shamanic culture. Dr. Nandkumar Kamath from the University of Goa discovered the prehistoric petroglyphs of Goa. More than 125 forms were found scattered on the banks of river Kushavarti in southeastern Goa. According to Kamath, these are evidence of a prehistoric Goan shamanistic practice. For hundreds of years, the Kushavarti rock art of Goa was known locally as Gauravarik Nyarchichitram, or pictures made by cowherds. But people did not know how ancient the works were, nor could anyone interpret them. After thorough study of these forms, scholars have concluded that these petroglyphs differ from those found elsewhere in Goa. Deeper studies and analysis over a period of 10 years showed these petroglyphs were an exquisitely carved ocular labyrinth, one of the best in India and Asia. Its ocular nature added to the evidence of prehistoric shamanism. The studies have shown that the Kushavarti culture was a hunter-gatherer culture with deep knowledge of local natural resources and processes: water, fish, plants, game, animal breeding cycles, seasons and natural calamities. The Kushavarti culture was greatly concerned with water security, so they set up camps near the streams. The Kushavarti found food security in the jungle near the stream. Like every culture, its members confronted the mysteries of illness, death and birth. Kamath believes that this culture dated to 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. On basis of recent DNA-based work on human migration drive, Nandkumar Kamath has ruled out the possibility of Kushavarti shamans belonging to the first wave of humans to arrive in Goa. They were not Negritos or Ostrics. Most probably they were the earliest Mediterraneans who had descended the Western Ghats, probably in the search for sea salt on Goa's coast. As the Kushavarti transitioned into an Neolithic society, they began the domestication of animals and were in the last phase of using stone tools. The entire realm of shamanism underwent a radical transition. Today, evidence of the metamorphosis in masked dance drama Purni Jagor can be seen in the same cultural region. Neolithic period. Archaeological evidence in the form of polished stoned axes suggest the first settlements of Neolithic man in Goa. These axes have been found in Goa Vela. During this period, tribes of Ostric origin such as the Kols, Mundaris and Carvers may have settled Goa, living on hunting, fishing and a primitive form of agriculture since 3500 BC. According to Goan historian Anand Ramakrishna Doom, Bahmani, the Gauda and Kunbi and other such castes are modern descendants of ancient Mundari tribes. Dumi notes several words of Mundari origin in the Kingani language. He describes the deities worshipped by the ancient tribes, their customs, methods of farming, and its overall effect on modern-day Goan culture. The Negroids were in an Neolithic stage of primitive culture and were food gatherers. Traces of Negroid physical characteristics can be found in parts of Goa up to at least the middle of the first millennium. The Proto-Australoid tribe known as the Conquers, from whom is derived the name of the region, Kongvanukingan, with the other mentioned tribes, reportedly made up the earliest settlers in the territory. Agriculture had not fully developed at this stage and was being developed. The Kol and Mundari may have been using stone and wood implements, as iron implements were used by the megalithic tribes as late as 1200 BC. The Kol tribe is believed to have migrated from Gujarat. During this period, the people began worship of a mother goddess in the form of Antila Santa. The Antil is called Rhone, which is derived from the Austric word Rono, meaning with holes. The later Indo-Aryan and Dravidian settlers also adopted Antil worship, which was translated into Prakrit Centaura. They also worshipped the Mother Earth by the name of Bhumika in Prakrit. Antil worship still continues in Goa. The Iron Age. The advent of Sumerians 2200 BC. The first written reference to Goa appear in cuneiform during Sumerian times when the king Gudea of Lagash called Goa Gubio. This was around 2200 BC and Sumerians had established trade contacts with Goa. Many Sumerians settled in Goa and along the Kinggan coast. Sumerians are thought to have designed the fields of Goa because as these follow the measure till date. Unlike 0.46 meters unit generally prevalent elsewhere in India, it is pointed out that the positioning in Goa agrees with Sumerian 12 cubits to a pole, and 0.495 of a meter to a cubit. Later the Phoenicians became extensive settlers of Goa around 1775 BC. Several cuneiform inscriptions have been found in Goa and an oracle plate dedicated to Inanna has been recovered from Savoir-Verim. Sumerians are believed to have modified many local customs and introduced their own systems such as the style of temple architecture. The Devadasi system. The Sumerians also influenced the language, caste system, and the kinship practices to some extent. Sumerian influence in Goa can also be seen in the entertainment and games of the region. The formations of Gavkaris and the self-rule, the theocratic democracy of Sumer was transformed into the oligarchic democracy of village administration in Goa known as Gavkari. When it overlapped with the practices of the locals, the agricultural land was jointly owned by the group of villages. They had right to auction the land. This rent was used for development, and the remainder was distributed amongst the Gavkas. Sumerians viewed that the village land must belong to the village god or goddess. This was the main feature of the Gavkari system, where the village's preeminent deity's temple was the center of all the activities. It consisted of definite boundaries of land from village to village with its topographic detail, its management and social, religious and cultural interaction. Gavkari thus were in existence long before constitution of the state of Goa itself. Thus even before any king ruled the territory, oligarchic democracy in the form of Gavkari existed in Goa. This form of village administration was called as Gaunpon, and despite the periodic change of sovereigns, the Gaunpon always remained. Hence the attachment and fidelity of the Goans to the village has always surpassed the loyalty to the rulers. This system for governance became further systematized and fortified, and it has continued to exist ever since. Even today 223 Comuna Dadas are still functioning in Goa, though not in the true sense. The later migrations. The second wave of migrants arrived sometime between 1700 and 1400 BC. This second wave migration was accompanied by southern Indians from the Deccan Plateau. A wave of Kushan-Harappan people moved to Lothal probably around 1600 BC to escape submergence of the civilization which thrived on sea trade. With the admixture of several cultures, customs, religions, dialects and beliefs led to revolutionary change in early Goan society. The Age of Empires. The Mauryas. The history of the Mauryas is almost non-existent. The existing records disclose the names of only 3 of the dynasty's kings, namely Suketavarman, who ruled sometime in the 4th or 5th centuries BC, Chandravarman in the 6th century BC, and Ahitavarman in the 7th century BC, who ruled from Kumardvipa, modern Kumarjuve. But beyond that, the records provide no clue as to the mutual relationship. These dates were determined by comparing the style of the Nagari script in which these records are written with the evolution of the script, which may be dated fairly accurately. It is possible to infer from the places mentioned in these records and the discovery locations that at its zenith, the Western Maurya kingdom comprised the latter as South Gujarat, coastal Maharashtra, Goa, and approximately half of the North Kanara district. After the Maurya Empire had passed its meridian in the 2nd century BC, its satrap in Aparanta made himself independent. Scion of the Imperial Mauryas. He founded a dynasty that ruled over the west coast for nearly 4 centuries from its capital Shurparaga, modern Sapporo. This dynasty was known as the Kingan Mauryas. Goa was called son apparent by the Mauryas. Chandragupta Maurya incorporated the west coast of India in his province of Aparanta, and the impact of Magadha and Prakrit, the official language of the Mauryan Empire, on the local dialects resulted in the formation of early Kingani, as was the case with other Aryan vernaculars. During this era, Buddhism was introduced to Goa. Similarly, a native Goan named Purna, also known as Punna in Pali, who traveled to Sarnath, is considered a direct disciple of Buddha, who popularized Buddhism in Goa in 5th century BC. The Satavahanas. The Satavahanas dynasty began as vassals of the Mauryan Empire, but declared independence as the Mauryan Empire declined. The Satavahana dynasty ruled Goa through the coastal vassals, the Tutas of Koa War. This period is estimated to have lasted from around the 2nd century BC to 100 AD. The Satavahanas had established maritime power and the contacts with Roman Empire from the coastal trade from Sind to Saurashtra, from Bharuch to Sapporo to Goa, where Greek and Roman ships would halt during voyages. The Bhojas fortified themselves after the end of Satavahana Empire. With the fall of the Satavahanas, the lucrative seaborne trade declined. Many Greek converts of Buddhism settled in Goa during this period. Buddha statues in Greek styles have been found in Goa. It can be seen that they ruled a very small part of Goa. Maharashtra Prakrit was the language of administration, which influenced medieval Kingani to a great extent. Goa under the Western Kshatrapas. In the year 150 AD, Vashishtiputra Satakani was defeated by his son-in-law, the Kshatrapa king Rudradaman I, who established his rule over Goa. This dynasty ruled the territory until 249 AD. Thereafter the dynasty's power seems to have been weakened by the generals, the Abhiras, Bhojas, first existing as vassals of the Mauryan Empire and later as an independent empire. The Bhojas ruled Goa for more than 500 years, annexing the entirety of Goa. The earliest known record of the Bhoja Empire from Goa dates from the 4th century AD. It was found in the town of Shirda in Goa. According to Purana Puranic. By tradition the Bhojas belonged to the clan of Yadavas, who may have migrated to Goa Vidwaraka after the Mahabharata War. 2 Bhoja copper plates grants dating back to the 3rd century BC were unearthed from Bandora village, written by King Prithvimellavarman. Many other copper plates have also been recovered from other places in Goa which date from the 3rd century BC to the 8th century AD. Ancient Chandrapur, modern-day Chandor, was the capital of the Bhoja Empire. The Bhojas ruled Goa, Belgaum and North Kanara. For the Bhoja inscriptions found in Goa and Kingan, it is evidenced that the Bhojas used Sanskrit and Prakrit for administration. According to Vidal Raghavendra Mitragorti, many Brahmins and Vaishyas arrived with Kshatriyas Bhojas from the north. The Kshatriya Bhojas patronized Buddhism and employed many Buddhist converts of Greek and Persian origin. Medieval period. Goa was ruled by several dynasties of various origins from the 1st century BC to 1500 AD. Since Goa had been under the sway of several dynasties, there was no organized judicial or policing system in those days, except for traditional arrangements governed by absolute rulers and local chieftains. There may have been more order under Muslim rule. During this time, Goa was not ruled as a singular kingdom. Parts of this territory were ruled by several different kingdoms. The boundaries of these kingdoms were not clearly defined and the kings were content to consider the dominions as extending over many villages, which paid tribute and owed them allegiance. Shilaharas. The Shilaharas of South Kingan ruled Goa from 755 till 1000 AD. Sanafala, the founder of the dynasty, was a vassal of the Rashtrakutas. Their copper plate inscriptions suggest that they ruled from Valapatana, Chandrapur and Gopakopatana. This was a tumultuous period in Goan history. As the Goa Shilahara power was waning in the 11th century, the Arab traders gained increasing control of the overseas trade. They enjoyed autonomy from the Shilaharas. In order to control this decline, Kadamba King Guladeva I, ruling from Chandor, only established secular, political, and economic partnerships with these Arab states. After the Chalukyas defeated the Rashtrakutas, exploiting this situation to their advantage, the Kadamba king Shastadeva II firmly planted his rule in Goa. Kadambas of Goa. The Kadambas ruled Goa from the 10th to 14th centuries. In the beginning, the Kadambas ruled only Sashti and a small part of Kingan. They ruled from Chandor over a large part, but the port of Gopakopatana was not included in the early years. The Goa Kadambas were the later scions of the main Kadamba dynasty, whose modern descendants still live in Goa. Port of Gopakopatana. Later King Shastadeva conquered the island of Goa, including the ports Gopakpatana and Karpadikadvipa, and annexed a large part of South Kingan to his kingdom. He made Gopakpatana as his secondary capital. His successor, King Jayakeshi I, expanded the Goan kingdom. The Sanskrit Jain text Divya Yashra mentions the extent of his capital. Port Gopakopatana had trade contacts with Zanzibar, Bengal, Gujarat and Sri Lanka. The city has been described in the contemporary records not only as aesthetically pleasing, but spiritually cleansing as well. Because it was a trading city, Gopakopatana was influenced by many cultures, and its architecture and decorative works showed this cosmopolitan effect. The capital was served by an important highway called Rajvithia Rajpath, which linked it with Ella, the ruins of which can still be seen. For more than 300 years, it remained a nucleus of intracoastal and transoceanic trade from Africa to Malaya. Later in the 14th century, the port was looted by Khilji General Malik Kafur. The capital was transferred to Chandor and then back to Gopakopatna because of Muhammad bin Tuflik's attack on Chandor. Guladeva III, Jayakeshi II, Shivachita Paramadideva, Vinsuchita II and Jayakeshi III dominated Goa's political scene in the 12th century. During the rule of Kadambas, the name and fame of Goapuri had reached its zenith. Goa's religion, culture, trade and arts flourished under the rule of these kings. The kings and their queens built many Shiva temples as they were devout Shaivites. They assumed titles like Kinganadipati, Saptakotisha Ladbhavaravira, Gopakopura Varadishva, Kinganmavhacharavati, Panchamahashabda. The kings had matrimonial relationships with the kings of Saurashtra and even the local chieftains. The kings patronized Vedic religion and performed major fire sacrifices like the horse sacrifice or Ashvamedha. They popularized Jainism in Goa. They are also known for patronizing Jainism in Goa, though the language of administration was Sanskrit and Kannada. Konkani and Marathi were also prevalent. They introduced Kannada language to Goa, which had a very profound influence on the local tongue. Nagari script, Kadamba script, Halakannad script and Goi Kannadi scripts were very popular. Kadamba tribe of Vanimala inscribed a record, dated circa 1028 or AD 1106, that he established a Brahmapuri at Gopaka. Brahmapuris were ancient universities run by the Brahmins where the Vedas, astrology, philosophy, medicine, and other subjects were studied. Such Brahmapuris were found in many places in Goa, Savavaram, Gaulimula and other places. Kadambas ruled Goa for more than 400 years until they lost power to the Vijayadavas. After the Muslim invasions, the Kadamba dynasty was lost forever. Ruins of the palaces, mansions, temples and markets can be still seen in Chandor village. Muslim conquest and rule. In 1350 AD, Goa was conquered by the Bahmani Sultanate. However, in 1370, the Vijayanagar Empire, a resurgent Hindu empire situated at modern-day Hampi, reconquered the area. The Vijayanagar rulers held on to Goa for nearly a century, during which time its harbours were an important port of arrival for Arabian horses on the way to Hampi to strengthen the Vijayanagar cavalry. In 1469 Goa was reconquered by the Bahmani Sultans of Gulbarga. When this sultanate broke up in 1492, Goa became a part of Adil Shah's Bijapur Sultanate, which established Goa as its second capital. The former Secretariat building in Panaji is a former Adil Shahi palace, later taken over by the Portuguese viceroys as their official residence.